It's the Fantasy Commissioner Show.
Yes, it's the Fantasy Commissioner Show, the show for commissioners by a commissioner. I am Reginald James, the commish. Come join me at the live feed here on Rabble.tv. You can also hit me up on Twitter at MrReginaldJames. You can also email me at thecommish show@outlook.com. Hey folks, how you doing? So this is a special time here. Usually I will be here in the Rabble room on Fridays at 7 Eastern time. But life gets busy and you gotta mix things up a bit and you gotta move around. You know, that happens sometimes. So today we're doing it live at a special time at 10 Eastern time. So on that note, we're going to have some programming changes coming up, and it's that time of year, time for youth tackle football, and I do coach. I've been a head coach. I've had my own team at one time or another, and I've also been an assistant, and I really don't care one way or the other. I just love football, and I don't like to watch. So, I like to watch the NFL, but I don't like to watch when I'm just standing there on the sidelines watching the kids. So I love to coach. I love to teach them the game of football and make them a lover of the game just like I am. So because of that, I am going to be moving to Sundays for the next 3 weeks. This is my last Friday show for 3 weeks. And then we'll get back on track on our regularly scheduled programming. We'll get back on track for 7 p.m. Eastern time. And so I'm not really sure what time. I have to check the sched. Have to check my schedule. But just know that I will be posting it on Twitter. And I will post it on my Rabble page here. And Rabble, the folks at Rabble are just, man, they are amazing. They are great. Oh, I said amazing. Maddie Ziegler's favorite word. She's loath to find any other word to describe what she's watching besides amazing. Every once in a while, she'll drop in an incredible. But Maddie Ziegler, amazing. So I did a Maddie Ziegler. But the folks at Rabble, they are great. So, you know, as long as I do my part and I schedule the shows, they do a really good job at, you know, putting it up on the main page so people can see, so they can see what's going on. You have new people coming to Rabble to see what's going on. What is this Rabble business? And there's so many shows on Rabble covering all kinds of things. People comment and have running commentaries on movies. They, you know, they'll do basketball, football, hockey. Obviously, I'm just sitting here in my little niche for fantasy football. But needless to say, the next 3 weeks, you'll catch me live on Sundays. And as always, you can always check out the archives. Every show that I have done since I started, before I had theme music and all that good stuff, and I sounded like I was talking in a tunnel. You know, I had growing pains. I had to figure it all out. Had to sort it out. And we've grown a bit. We've evolved a bit. And all along the way, Rabble has been there supporting me. And I just, man, I love it. If you go to Twitter, you'll see these banners, like these official-looking banners. They are official-looking banners, and they came from Rabble. So, that said, let's move on. And when I'm done with this, I'll throw out another reminder, and let's rock. Okay, so before we get into it, I'm going to take you on a trip. I'm going to introduce you to my Twitter list. I always have to assume that someone's going to listen to me for the first time. So some folks who listen to me regularly, oftentimes through the podcast archives, all two of you. You've heard me talk about this before. So, listen up. So I have a list. I have compiled lists on all 32 teams, NFL teams. And I did it for my own research, so it was easy for me to find out about what's going on with the players that are on my fantasy team. And last minute news comes out. I found that it was really easy if I could just go to, say, the Philadelphia Eagles site list. And on my list, you will find Jimmy Kempski. He's the Eagles writer for The Village Voice. Josh Pono, Philadelphia Eagles beat writer. We've got Reuben Frank. He writes about the Eagles for csnphilly.com. And it goes on and on and on. So my focus pretty much is not, the NFL.com type site, although that's there. But my focus is basically on the local media that covers each of these teams, because those are the guys and women who are there on the field. They're watching someone hobble around, trying to get back to speed. They're there to discount the stories that someone is ready or someone is not ready, that sort of thing. And I have found that to be highly valuable to me, so I've decided to share. Let's see, we have Tim McManus. He's the Eagle beat writer for 97.5, The Fanatic. Nick Farrell, Philadelphia Eagles beat writer for the Allentown Morning Call. So I've spent a lot of time, and every once in a while, I'm still coming up with new names, and whenever I hear, I'm listening to sports talk, and I hear, this is Arnold Thurmanson from the Chicago Bears news. I go to my list and I see if I've tagged that person on Twitter. So just know it's a ever-growing, it's a living list. It's a living list. It's a living list. I continue to try and add names to the list. So just know, if you're a fan of whatever NFL team, I got a list for you. Some are more extensive than others, but like I said, I'm working on it. And if you come and visit me at my Twitter page and follow me, and then you start checking out the list and you come across a name or someone that you like or someone that you prefer and it's not on the list, dude, let me know. Let me know. And I will add them to the list and just try and make it better. Try and make it better for all. I'm so tempted to get political, but I'm not. This is not the time and place for it, and I am not gonna do it. Nope. All right, so let's check out another team here. So we got, for example, let's go look at the Oakland Raiders. So all you Raider fans. So we have Steve Corcoran, Daniel Brown, who writes for the San Jose Mercury, the SB Report, the Silver and Black Report, Bob Carr. He's a sideline photographer who covers the Raiders. I thought that was pretty cool. And here's Jerry McDonald, beat writer for Oakland Tribune Bay Area newspaper. He's been covering the Raiders since 1995. Tom Fitzgerald, he writes and covers for Stanford Sports for the San Francisco Chronicle. We've got Ann Killian. She writes for the San Francisco Chronicle. We have a Raiders insider. His name is Scott Bair. We have Jimmy Durkin, Oakland Raiders beat writer for the Bay Area News Group. So, just two examples of 32. Come share the wealth. Hope you can benefit from the list in some way, somehow. That would make me happy. I'd appreciate that. That would be, it'd make me feel good. Commish, I have two guys who did a trade. I'll call them Drake and Josh. After the trade went through, Jake changed his mind because some friends of his told him that it wasn't a good trade. The other guy got the best end of the deal. That's what they told him. So he asked me to reverse the trade or he would leave the league. I think that's ridiculous and I'm not going to reverse it. So what's left for me to do? And I said, no. The trade does not get reversed. I agree with you. He was the one who okayed it. And if he wants his friend's seal of approval, then he should consult his friends before he makes his trade. Done. That's it. That's the short answer. Last week, I did a rapid fire answer to common questions that I get on a regular basis. And one of the answers that I said was, no, you do not get to cry foul, 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 foul. There you go. There we go. Now we're back to speed. You can't get upset and you can't claim that there was some technical difficulties in your trade or in your waiver wire pickup, or in this case, well, I didn't make a good trade and my friend said I was stupid and I got, and there's a word that people are using and I'm offended as a guy. Yes, this is an official tangent. It's brought to you by Muscle Milk. All right, there's a term people are guys, because there are no women using this term. And I've heard this on radio and I've heard it on sports talk radio. I've heard it on television. Okay, fellow males on this planet, stop using the word rape to describe how someone got the better end of something, or someone trumped you, or someone won out, or someone got, they got a, they won money on some bet. Stop saying, man, he raped you. Fucking stop it. Okay, this is a family show, so I apologize for that. But stop it. Just stop. There's so many words that you can come up with besides, oh man, why did you trade? I'm trying to think of a kicker's name. Someone give me, please. Why did you trade Pete Stoyanovich? I know he's retired. Why did you trade Pete Stoyanovich for Tom Brady? Man, you get raped. Guys, knock it off. And I don't want to curse anymore. But knock it off. That's offensive. I mean, that is not even... There are so many slang words that we can use. I mean, you pick an instance, an occasion. There's so many words that we can use. And somewhere along the way, someone picked a word that describes one of the ultimate violations that we can, engage in with another human being. I mean, really. I just actually surprised myself. I wasn't planning to talk about this. And I said I wasn't going to get political, and this isn't necessarily political, but I'm gonna hang on. I'm gonna run on this tangent just a little longer, and then I'll be done. And if for some reason you happen to be offended by what I'm saying, then see ya. Because seriously, I don't. Just take a moment, folks, to just think this through. That's all. I mean, oh man, you got spanked. Oh man, you got thumped. Oh man, he busted you up. Oh man. I mean, we can spend the next 30 minutes filling in the blank and come up with all kinds of slang words that actually exist, and we can make stuff up. Oh man, you got fracked. Oh man, I don't know. Okay, now I'm gonna hear from the Starstruck folks or whatever. But just all right, I'm done. But come on, guys, let's really try. Let's really try to come up with another word besides telling someone they got raped because you know they got thumped in their fantasy game or something like that. All right. So I'm going back to the question where one dude made a trade and his friends, and oh yes, and this is how we got onto this whole, because, in my head, I heard someone going, Jake, man, you get raped. That took me off. So let's get back on track here. All right. So I said that I agreed with the commissioner who wrote the question. I didn't think the trade should get reversed, and I agreed. And I said that Jake was the one who okayed the trade, and if he wants the seal of approval from his friends, then you go ask your friends, your mom, your dad, your priest, whatever, whoever you want to consult about your fantasy decisions, you go ask them before you make the trade. You hear it on the radio all the time. You listen to fantasy sports talk, and someone be like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, I wanna know how what you think about this trade that I made. He gave me this year's second round pick, which is the third pick, and he gave me Drew Brees, and I gave him Arian Foster and my 12th and 13th round pick. What do you think about that?" Well, Richie, I think he got the better end of the trade. Oh man, it's too late, Ricky. It's too late. Throw your crow's feet, your chicken feet, rub your rabbit's foot in your ear, whatever you need to do, but do it before you make the trade. It's too late. Don't ask me or anyone else. I used to go, and as a matter of fact, I need to find out what happened. Last year, I spent a lot of time in the forum at fantasypros.com. Now, as of late, I haven't seen the forum, so I don't know what happened to it. And I initially started answering questions about people's trades. And then I realized, you know what? I can't do this. So what I would do, I would answer questions about potential trades that people were thinking about or were considering, but I refused to answer any questions once the trade was over because it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you made a trade and you don't know whether it was good or bad, then maybe you shouldn't be trading. Take some time to think it through. Go get advice from whoever you need to get advice from. Go get your counsel and then go through with it. I keep leaving the question, right? So this is what I said, though, because as you recall, the commish was threatened by the owner who said he was going to leave the league if the commish didn't reverse the trade. All right, fine. So I said for the commissioner, go tell him that the trade will not be reversed, and if he wants to leave the league, then he needs to tell you right then and there. Since he was the one who took the first shot with the threat, you want to threaten the league? Fine. Then you need to tell me, are you going to do it or not? You going to jump? And before you contact him, you're going to momentarily freeze his roster. So, if he says that he's going to leave, then you say, bye-bye. It's over. And you have control of the team. And that means that Josh can't go back in and go all nuclear and dump his players and sabotage the league. Because some people will do that. I've had that happen in my league in the early years. I think in the maybe the third year. Maybe the third or fourth year. So that was one of the lessons that I learned, which is why I can try and give you folks advice, because been there, done that. When someone decides to go, yeah, I'm gonna go home to mommy. Take my toys with me. I'm gonna go home to mommy. But before I go, I'm gonna sabotage the league and just dump on my players so everyone can make a mad rush for them and create havoc, anarchy. That kind of nonsense. So you take control of the team, find out what Josh is going to do. If he wants to pout, then you say, fine, I've got your team. Go on, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen. And then that's it. So I also said you want to make sure that in the off season, you make sure that you put in the rules, and this takes us back to last week, because last week we were discussing rule number 1 to try and have a happy, sane fantasy season as a commissioner and as a player. You put it in writing. So in writing, on pen to paper, you want to make sure that you have in the rules that you have the option to freeze rosters in certain situations, precisely to prevent something like a disgruntled player, dumping his roster. And because I've decided that I need to take a mini hiatus because of youth football, I'm going to do an accelerated rules dump myself. And one of the rules that we'll be getting to later is to be transparent. So one of the things we discussed last week is you have to try and have a crystal ball, and you have to try and be your best devil's advocate when you're writing up these rules, because someone will read those rules and they will try and find a loophole, and they will jump through it as quickly as they can. So you have to try and beat them to it. So in this sense, you would want to have a rule that says, if this happens, I will do this. So in this case, you will have, if someone leaves the league or someone is removed from the league, I will freeze their roster until I find an appropriate owner, so on and so forth. Put it there. Have it where everyone can see it. So when something goes down, like, Mr. Jake, who is upset because his friends teased him about his bad trade, or what they thought was a bad trade. Obviously, he thought it was a good one. But, peer pressure. Peer pressure. Okay, so, if you have someone succumb to peer pressure and then threaten to leave the league, and you have to take care of your business, you want everyone to have received the rules or your bylaws or your constitution or whatever you want to call it. Make sure that it's there, so when you act out, it's something that you've already said you would do. Okay? Rule number 2. This is a continuation from last week. Business before family and friends. And when I'm talking about business, I'm talking about things that you require of your members, like choosing a keeper, for example, by a certain date. Or, for example, if you need to receive pool money before they receive the password to claim their slot or reclaim their team if you have returning owners, right? Anything that has to be done, whatever the conditions are, whatever conditions that you have set up, you hold the owners of the league to those conditions. Seems like something simple. I say that all the time. It always seemed like something simple. And I can hear someone out there in the Rabbleverse going, duh, yeah, what do you think, man? You think we're stupid? No. Nope. I just know human nature. And I've been around long enough to see people act in ways that you'll be befuddled. You'll be confused. You'll be like, what? Why are they acting this way? I don't understand. And I wish the best for all of you commissioners. But you never have to deal with things like that. But that's why we are talking about what we are talking about right now. We talked about preemptive strikes last week. This is a preemptive strike. Every day, Dr. Phil comes on. And who do we see? Family members. Now, if family members held other family members to a higher standard, Dr. Phil would be, well, he probably wouldn't be as rich as he is. Fantasy football, believe it or not, and if you're a commissioner and you've been doing this long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But fantasy football is like the most perfect mirror in a lot of ways of society in general. Get a bunch of people together, different types of people, different personalities, different perspectives of what competition is, different types of aggression to compete, different desires, levels of desire to win. And then you throw in money. Pick any kind of situation in our society, in our human societies, and you throw money in. The opportunity for things to go bad, they kind of increase exponentially. They pretty much do. Doesn't mean things are always going to get funky, but yeah, they usually do. So if you're playing with money, it's almost required that you hold your owners accountable. And I think as a general rule, you want to hold the owners in your league accountable to whatever conditions or that rules that you have set up. No exceptions. You'll have two dudes in a league, and the one guy makes I'm not even going to qualify or describe or judge what the decision is, but let's say he decides to start dating the ex-girlfriend of another dude in his league. How many of you been in a league like that? I see you back there with your hand up. Oh, yeah, you've got your hand up. Dude, those are some killer sunglasses. He's got his hand up. You know what I'm talking about. And how many of you have been in leagues with family members where whatever beef has been going on in like the last 10 years kind of slowly, steadily creeps its way into your league? You know who you are. See that girl over there? She just raised her hand too. She was like, oh my God, yeah, oh. Yeah, she knows. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where you end up bankrolling in regards to paying dues, right? You don't want to pay for others who didn't pay. They didn't pay, but you let them start the season anyway. Now, maybe you're one of those lucky folks. Maybe you're one of those lucky folks, and you have nothing but saints in your league. You all have saints, and everyone's just rosy and wonderful. Great, good for you. but the percentages are pretty high that you're not going to get your money back if someone starts the league, especially with their family. Friends too, but I'm just saying. And I read a question a couple weeks ago about an owner whose own friend wouldn't give him the money he owed. And it's interesting too, because a friend will ask you for a break based on your friendship. You give them a break. You cover them. Week 1, Worked out great. Week 2, oh, they lost. Week 3, oh, they lost again. Where am I? Week 4? I need to go back to Sesame Street. Week 4, they lost. Uh-oh. They're 1-3. Oh, they get kind of lucky. I lost count. So now they're 2-3. That says week 5. Oh, so week 6, 7, 8, 9. So next thing you know, they're 2-5. All of a sudden, they've been telling you they're going to pay you, and they're your friends, so you kind of give them a break. But now they're 2-5, and now they're convinced that they might not win, and they're not sure they're going to win. Now they don't feel so inclined to give you the money. See that dude right there? He just raised his hand and said, "Damn, yeah, man." All right, I don't know. I'm in a mood. I got fired up about, the topic about guys using that word, and I got fired up. I apologize, because I always joke and say this is a family show, but I do try and keep it straight. So, okay, last time for that. Although, damn, it's not so bad. You know how it goes. Now, you new commissioners, especially you new commissioners who have never played too, right? Or maybe you came from a league that was really good and now you decide to start your own. Just know. Talk to people that you know. Just know. Just be careful. And you don't have to be paranoid, right? But just plan. Just plan. If you think of the worst case scenario and plan for it, and it never happens, hallelujah, baby! Yeah! It's great. It's a good thing. Okay? So no exceptions. And we're going to refer back to rule number 1 again from last week. Put it in writing. So whatever your rules are going to be, whatever action you will take if the league members don't meet any deadlines, your deadlines or rules, or the rules aren't met, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And everyone should be able to read exactly what that will be. So if Cousin Joe doesn't pay his fee by the deadline, then Cousin Joe puts himself in a situation to get replaced with a new owner. That's in your bylaws. It's there for everyone to read. And once you make an exception, you open the door for others to follow right behind the exception. Don't do it, Robert Blake. Now it's a choice you're going to have to make. This is to you, some of you, I may have some veterans listening and they're like, yeah, okay, been there, done that. That's good. But I like to focus on the new commissioners, and that's one of the reasons I did this show. So we have less jaded fantasy football commissioners out in our world. And this is one of the things that makes them jaded. Because they didn't plan ahead, and they let their buddy, skirt, and then the friendship gets ruined because feelings get hurt because he's asking for the money. And, oh yeah, I looped and jumped. So the very reason that your friend asks you for a break is based on friendship will become the very reason that they will act insulted when you ask them for the money. You're their friend. So why are you bothering me? Why are you harassing me? I'm your friend. You shouldn't treat me that way. Strange how that works out. Act as a friend and give them a break, but act as a friend and don't ask them for the money that they owe you. It's real. Skewed, but it's real. So it's a choice that you're going to have to make, new commissioners. You have to decide the tone that you want to set from the very beginning. Please take time to think about it. Because from day one, you're going to set the precedent. as to how you want things to go. And you don't have to be authoritative about it. You just have to be steady and firm in your resolve. That's all. Just be honest with yourself. Now, some of you are like, it's just a casual league. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Casual league. So here's a thought. Maybe that's more of a reason to have a firm set of rules to hold people to your deadlines. Because if they're playing in your league, if the attitude is just for fun, yay, they might feel that they can be lax in responding to what you want. Lax in responding to what you ask for. So here's an example for the schedule for the league that I started. The league that I run. So starting with the very first letter I send out for the season, which I do the very day Yahoo Fantasy goes live. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and only once did I miss the day that it went live. And in some cases, I was sitting there in front of my computer. This tells you what kind of, I don't know what this is going to say. It says I'm an insomniac, which I'm not, but whatever. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. All right. In some cases, the moment that it went live, I was actually there because I stay up late. And back in the day, sometimes I'm like, oh, I know it's coming. Last year it came, and actually, it gets now. The competition for fantasy football is so high now. It went live April 28th. April. I remember when Yahoo would go live the first week of June. And then it slowly got earlier and earlier. So, the following year I'd be like, okay, it's getting early, so I'm going to watch. Okay, maybe it's coming up. And I'd be sitting there refreshing my screen. Like, Reginald, you don't have a life, do you? I do have a life. Leave me alone. I'd be sitting there refreshing the screen. But see, now it's 2016. Now you can get alerts from Yahoo. Technology, man. Yeah, see, back in the day, we were our own alerts, dagnabbit. We didn't need all these beeps and boops making noises on our phones. Hell, we couldn't even leave our house with our phones. And now you young people and all this pokey, mookie, no-go, punchy rock. So I send out the letter asking everyone that if they know for whatever reason, that's the first thing I ask. If you know for whatever reason that you're not going to be in the league, please let me know right now, right then, so I can find a replacement and get them up to speed. That's it. And then I give the key dates. So this is what the league got this year. And any letters that I send out following the first letter, item number 1 will always be the key dates. And then I start to discuss whatever it is I need to discuss with the league. So this year, key dates. Pool money deadline, Monday, August 22nd. Keeper submission deadline, Friday, August 26th, 11:59 p.m. Now, let me stop here for a second. This was something that I caught, and I didn't get. This is one of those. It's not necessarily a loophole, but this is actually something you guys need to. Okay, so on Yahoo, the deadline is actually Saturday, like at midnight. But if you tell Yahoo that Saturday is your deadline, then it kicks in. All right. If I tell the league that the deadline is Saturday, and I set Saturday as the deadline for Yahoo, it locks the keeper list on midnight, 12 a.m. But the owners in your league may go, but you said the deadline was Saturday. It's still Saturday. Do you see where I'm going? So that's why I say that the submission deadline is 11:59 p.m. on Friday. You tell Yahoo that the deadline is Saturday, August 27th. And I put 11:59 p.m. in bold and in red. So there's no excuses, and it's there for everyone to see. And I didn't get trumped up last year. But I think someone had a question. They didn't challenge it, but they had a question. And I said, anyways, I'm going to move on, but that's something to think about. So be careful. So just make sure that you actually put a specific time, because once Saturday 12 a.m. comes around, which for my deadline will be August 27th, it locks everyone out and they can't pick a keeper anymore. So they have until 11:59. Their deadline is 11:59 Friday, August 26th. Because I will announce the keepers on Saturday, August 27th. Our draft day is Saturday, September 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I wrote, note, if pool money is not received by the August 22nd deadline, you forfeit your option to choose your keeper. No exceptions. Please do not wait until the last moment to send in your money. Now, in this particular league, they got this letter on April 28th. Now, I don't know about you, but that's plenty of time. That's plenty of time to do whatever you need to do. And if there's someone in this league that waits until Friday, August 26th at 11:55 to start messing with their keeper list and they get locked out, too bad. If you talk to anyone in my league, I would like to think that they say, no, Reg keeps us up to date. He tells us, keeps us informed. He sends us letters. And I think as a commissioner, it's your job to just, if you're going to make a mistake with overwhelming them with information. Because at least you've said something, you've told them. Do not make a mistake at going, well, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to get on their nerves. Because then when it's in someone's best interest, you're so gloomy. This is like the Trump speech. You're so dark. You're so dark today, Reginald. You're so dark. But when it's when it's in their best interest to challenge you on something, they're going to do it. So you may ask, have you ever replaced someone, Reginald, who didn't get their pool money in on time? Yeah, I did. Yes, I have. Yes. Because I mean what I say. I'm telling you, I'm giving you suggestions. I'm recommending what you should do. I'm giving you something to think about. And all of this is based on my own personal experience. And yes, I replaced my own cousin because they didn't get the pool money in on time. They have since returned, but that year they were out. And they've never been late with their money again. I had someone in my league that they had a hard time putting people for whatever reason in their roster because they waited until Sunday morning, and then sometimes they get locked out. And I said, okay, stop putting donut holes. If you don't know what that is, please check out last week's archive episode cast. But that's basically putting someone in there who's hurt, injured, or on a bye week. Well, that's not good, because then they decide to do better, and then, so they give some members of the league their best in competition, and then other people's benefited because they were donking around. I don't like that. I like for everyone to compete and play hard and fight till the very last whistle. till the end of the season, and we have that in our leagues. And actually, the guy who did it, I didn't invite him back, and he was out for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years, and he just came back 2 years ago, and he's been great. But if you start your own league and you hope to have a league that will last a long time, then you do need to set an example so other people can see, and everyone will act accordingly, act right, sound like a dad and everything. But it's just simply, that's just life. It's just real life. It's just life. And I said it earlier, but fantasy football is a really good reflection of life in general. It just really is. If you give people, a chance to get away with something, they will. They just will, and they might not. Their first instinct is not to think about you as their brother, father, sister, mother, cousin, best friend since kindergarten. They're going to think about their own survival first, and they might think about you second or third. That's just the way a lot of people are. I'm not going to say all people. I'm not going to say that. All right? Because think about it. You get jacked for not owning up to the credit card agreement. Right? There's a credit card agreement that most people don't even read in the first place. That's a whole nother discussion that could take up a whole hour. People read your contracts. Okay? So some of you are like, man, that's harsh. You're just harsh. No. You have to stand by the rules that you set. And you don't make exceptions. And if you want to call it harsh, fantastic. Because you know what? If you're late with your credit card payment, you get hit with a finance charge. Is that harsh? It's in the rules. It's in the agreement. And you don't get to make an appeal to get them to take away the fee. Well, sometimes you do. But usually, it's only if you're a good credit risk and you've been making payments for like 2 consecutive years or something, and it's the first time, because they'll look at it. You talk to them on the phone, they'll look at it, because I've done that. They'll look at it and they're like, okay, Mr. James, you've never been late on a payment, and we'll remove the fee. But if you're a delinquent and you do it all the time, no, you're going to get jacked. You don't get to bitch and moan about it. You get jacked for not adhering to the credit card agreement that you probably didn't read in the first place. Because the agreement says you'll get charged if you don't make your payments on time. You go to the library, you get some books, you don't return the books in time, you get fined. That's it. You get fined. So run your business. Run your fantasy business. Take care of your fantasy business. It's not harsh. It's not mean. It's business. I read this rule last week. This is from my rules regarding keepers. And this is a reminder to the league, just take care of your business. And I said it's up to each owner to verify the eligibility of their chosen keeper before the keeper submission deadline is passed and the keeper list is locked. Once the keeper list is locked, it will be reviewed by the commissioner. Any keeper deemed ineligible will be removed from the keeper list, and the owner will not get to replace their choice with another selection. It's right there in writing. No excuses. Done. So I got a couple more minutes before we're done. Actually not going on vacation. I'm just changing days. So all right, here we go. I'm going to get into these in more detail, but I'm going to, I wrote this down because I want to talk about this when I thought I was going to just leave for 3 weeks, but I'm not. I'm going to move to Sundays. Be transparent. Now I'm going to get that. That's going to be the next show. But here's a quick example. So famously, Miss Matthews was a regular listener last year, and she would come in and she would ask questions, and I really enjoyed her being in the rabble room. And she told a story about how her commissioner figured out the draft order by putting the names in a hat. This is what he told everyone, and that he pulled the names out of a hat, and that's how he came up with the draft order. But no one was there, no one saw it, And so how do you know? How do you know he's being fair? You don't. And I totally understand if someone, I mean, commissioners, a lot of people think that commissioners are evil anyway, and that all we're trying to do is tilt things in our, in our best, in our favor, so we can win because we're commissioners and we can, mess around with the rules and, do all kinds of things, which, so oftentimes you're already starting from a point of scrutiny anyway. So something like this doesn't really help. Hey guys, this is the draft order. Well, how'd you come up with that? I just, threw the names in a hat and I pulled them out and wrote it down. Oh. So I'll get more into that more specifically next week, but here's a good example. I like these guys. This is Scout Fantasy Toolbox. So the website, the web address, the URL is fftoolbox.scout.com. fftoolbox.scout.com. You'll see all their features listed on the left. You go all the way down to the bottom, and under the heading Draft Preparation Tools, you will see, wait, nope, hold on. No, that's not right. Where is it? Because I already went to the page. Let me back up for a second. Let's be more helpful. So you go all the way down to Fantasy Football University. There's a heading called Fantasy Football University. And you will see the option to choose the draft order generator. Now, what I like about this is that you have to put in your league name, you have to put in your name, your email, and the number of teams, and then you will proceed to list the names of all your teams in your league and their emails, and then you hit go or whatever it is, ding, and it will have your draft order. Random, and everyone gets an email, and it's all above board, and you can't mess with it. You can't go, oh, I don't like that. Let me reach out into the universe and pull all the emails back, destroy them, and let's do it again. You don't get to do that. It's gone, and it's done. I love that. So I'll bring this up again next week. Well, this is just one example of being transparent. Making sure that everyone knows exactly what you're doing, how you did it. Any moves you make, they need to know how you did it. You can say, hey, I'm being general because I'm going to get into it next podcast. But you say, hey, I'm going to do this. And I didn't say ask permission. There are some things that you just need to act on as a commissioner. And then other times, you can ask for opinions, that sort of thing. We'll get into that. But I love the fantasy draft order generator, and much props to Scout Fantasy, because I've been using this for, I don't know, I've been using it for quite a while now. So the following week, we will talk about don't make it personal. Once again, we'll get into the specifics, the nitty-gritty, when we talk about it. But basically, no beef. Where's the beef? Not in your league. Not in your league. Because you're not going to get involved in stupid high school back and forth and name calling. You know why? Because you're the commissioner and you have two hats. I talked about this a couple of times last season, and it's worth repeating, and I'll talk about it a number of times this season as well. But you wear two hats. You're a commissioner. You're also a player. And neither the two shall mix, no matter how hard. And I know, trust me, it's hard sometimes not to be like, oh, I'm a player, I'm a commissioner. And you kind of, your head feels like it's going to, explode like in Scanners. But as a commissioner, You do not get involved in any bulletin board beefs. You don't get involved in any name calling. You have to stay high and above, because if you get personal with one person, then, that could turn around and bite you in the rear end, because then they'll say that you had an agenda against the other person, and maybe, both you guys will be vying for a player and on the waiver wires, and then you'll be accused of joinking the rules or the order, because you got the player that the other guy who you had a beef with didn't get, and it can just get all ugly and convoluted real quickly. So try really hard just to stay above board. Don't get caught in any craziness. Last season, I did an interview with Alan, and he was a commissioner, and he shared with the Rabble audience how he dealt with a situation where these two guys just got really ugly. It got ugly on the message board. People started threatening someone's life and fighting, and he discussed, the steps that he took to rectify the situation. Now, he didn't get involved in it personally, which was good, but it's just an example of it. Once again, reflection of life. Things get stupid and things get silly, just like people in general. I mean, we just get involved in really stupid things, and we're just really mean to each other and do, act in ways that we really shouldn't. Like, we really have no good reason to, but we just do. So it happens in the fantasy world as well. So you might want to check that out. I have show descriptions on every arc. I have a description listed for every show. So take some time out and peruse through the archived shows. And Alan, you'll see where I talk about we're going to interview an owner, and it's an interesting discussion with how he decided to deal with it. Just one man's way of doing it, and maybe you can learn a lesson and before it happens to you. And so it might be something that you haven't really thought about, because right now in your league things may be rosy and nice, and hopefully for you they'll stay that way. So speaking of the deadlines, so for example, I mentioned that in the deadline for my league, I need the pool money by Monday, August 22nd. So I have 12 players. We have 12 players in our league, and so far 4 people have paid and they have claimed their slot. So I reactivated the league on April 28th. I had someone come in on June 16th. Someone else paid their money, and I gave them, access to the league on July 9th. And someone just came in this week on July 18th. I got a check in the mail today, so I sent out, as soon as I got home, I walked into the house, I sent them the invite to have access to the league. So I actually also have 1, 2, 3 people who have actually paid their money, but they haven't, what I like to say, claimed their slot. So someone got an invite on May 10th. They haven't activated their team. Sent someone their activation on June 17th and July 13th. So we've been around each other long enough so they know they need to come in and claim their slot. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 people who have not paid their money. And all of these folks have been around to know that I will replace people. So they have till August 22nd. I have every positive notion, or I believe that they will make, they will give me the money and everything will be cool. But you never know. But it's a rule. It's out there for everyone to see. It's in writing. And so they know I will act accordingly. So you have to, like I said, you have to decide the tone that you want to set. And everyone's happy. No one's like, oh man, Reginald, I hate being in his league. He's such an authoritarian. Then there's none of that going on. Everyone's happy, and they respect that I respect them enough to try and keep them posted on what's going on. So that's how it goes, folks. So I'm going to be posting on Twitter and on the Rabble page what time the Sunday shows are going to be for the next 3 weeks before we get back to our regular scheduled program. And that's it for tonight, folks. Thank you for listening. Remember, follow me on Twitter at mrreginaldjames. My email is thecommissshow@outlook.com. This is the Fantasy Commissioner Show. I am Reginald James. Until next time, folks. See ya.